Vancouver Coastal Health has been doing great in the foodborne outbreak department. Nothing but the endemic rate has been observed. So an alarm didn't go off in the head of EHO Cranston Bryans when a few physicians called in to report patients showing similar symptoms of diarrhea, stomach cramps, nausea, vomiting, and fever. After all, those were pretty universal symptoms, and the patients were spread out across several cities. However, as he entered his cubicle the next day, he saw that there were 8 new messages, all from physicians reporting the same symptoms in different patients.
Well, that's not too bad, but 8 is kinda high, I guess.
Brian thought to himself as he set up on his day of regular inspections. By the time he returned to the office at 3 p.m., another 12 messages from physicians had arrived, some now suggesting that this should be the beginning of an outbreak investigation.
Let me do the EHOing and you stick to the doctoring.
However, something started to nag at Brian's.
That is 25 reports in the past 3 days, 1 on Monday, 4 yesterday, and 20 of those 25 today. Oh shit, I should probably look into this.
He grumbled as he glanced at the clock.
Looks like rounds at Moxie's will have to wait.
Brian rolled up his sleeves and dialed his first number.
Hi, this is Cranston Bryans, and I'm an EHO working for Vancouver Coastal Health. Your physician gave me your number, and I wanted to ask you some questions about the gastrointestinal symptoms you've been experiencing.
Hey, Mr. Bryans. Sure, fire away. I gotta warn you though, I'm taking this call from the bathroom. This ceramic throne has pretty much been my second home for the last 6 hours.
This one's a talker. Great. Now your physician told me all of your symptoms, and since we are suspecting a foodborne illness outbreak, the most important thing is the food history. Since we don't know exactly what is causing this, we may have to go back as far as a week before the symptoms and find the culprit. I know it's asking for a lot, but do you think you could remember that for me? I'm talking about every meal and every snack.
Well, you've come to the right man for that. Whew. Like I said, you come to the right place. I consider myself an athlete, so I follow a very strict diet.
Bingo. Oh, well then. Has there been any unique changes to the diet in the past week?
Brian's interest was now fully piqued.
Now that you mention it, I did do a cycling race on Saturday up at Whistler. Gran Fondo or Gran Fondo cycling event or something like that it was called. That would have been 4 days ago, September 7th. They had a whole spread there for lunch. Lots of people came. I remember having the Beyond Meat pasta, Caesar salad, fruit salad. I'm a vegetarian, you see. Been that way for 15 years now. As far as I'm concerned, your diet.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Brian's cut in, knowing that he had more calls to make.
Well, I have your number and might call you back again soon. A word of advice though, don't bring your phone into the bathroom next time. You wouldn't believe how many fecal particles are on the average touchscreen.
Question 1. What is the case definition?
Hi, Cranston Bryans? I'm here with your Uber Eats.
1 order of kung pao chicken, 2 hours, and 3 spring rolls later. Brian rubbed his eyes as he finished his last call. He threw the last of the pork roll trial into his drawers.
Vegetarianism.
He smirked as he was reminded of toilet bowl Terry from earlier.
Well, that's more meat for rest of us.
Brian leaned back in his chair and stared at the amoebic watermark on the ceiling tile above his desk. What he learned in the past 2 hours pretty well confirmed his initial suspicions. All of them had watery or bloody diarrhea, vomiting, stomach cramps, and fever within 5 days of the cycling event. Question 2. What is the pathogen involved based on the symptoms and timelines? But he will need more time. After all, 25 calls pale in comparison to the hundreds of contact numbers that the Gran Fondo event organizer disclosed.
Hey Siri,
Brian called out as the familiar AI lit up his phone screen.
clear my schedule for tomorrow.
The next day passed in a blur. The Gran Fondo was a major event for Whistler, and this year had a record turnout. With the help of two of his colleagues, Brian was able to collect symptoms onset time for 57 out of 345 cyclists who ate at the event that day.
We'll send you a stool sample kit later tonight.
He said as he hung up the phone.
And that's the last one.
He breathed and massaged his sore neck.
Let's go to Moxie's. Hey, Brian's, you got first round?
His two aides exclaimed as they left for Moxie's.
I'm right behind you, and thanks again.
His co-workers were faster and smarter, and he knew it. Comparatively, he shouldn't even be here. His BCIT grades were laughable, but his computer savvy filled a role that VCH needed at the time, and Brian has been holding on like a leech for nearly a decade.
And you wanted me to try out for baseball, Dad?
In a few short minutes, Brian generated this epidemic curve. Question 3. Based on the epicurve, is this a person-to-person outbreak or common source outbreak?
They don't pay me enough for this.
Brian washed his hands for the third time in the lab's bathroom. He just dropped off half a dozen stool samples and couldn't help but wonder if leaving law school was the right move.
The grass is always greener, I guess.
Embarrassed by the whole ordeal, Gran Fondo was eager to point the finger at the food provider for the event, Chizu Catering. Armed with the knowledge that almost everyone who ate the Caesar salad suffered symptoms from the attack rate table, a quick call to their office confirmed that one person washed all the lettuce for the salads.
What kind of name is Edward Coli?
Brian thought as he rubbed up on the door with the placard of E. coli. Brian was met with silence from the other side of the door. After the third seemingly failed attempt, he was just about to leave as the door slowly creaked open. A disheveled-looking fellow with red, teary eyes, tissues coming out of his pants pocket, and toilet paper stuck to his foot emerged.
Hello? Who is it?
Instinctively, Brian jumped back half a step.
This guy looks like an extra from a movie Contagion.
However, he quickly shook off his worries and stepped back into position.
A global pandemic in 21st century? Pure fiction. Hello, Mr. Coli. My name is Kristen Bryans, and I'm an EHO from Vancouver Coastal Health. I wanted to ask you some questions about your role in catering event last Saturday.
Whistler? Excuse me. Yeah, I was there. What about it?
Well, I wanted to know if you were sick during that time. Obviously, you've seen better days. Were your conditions like this on Saturday?
It wasn't this bad, but I had diarrhea in the morning and went to the bathroom a few times during my catering shift, and it's gotten worse every single day. I haven't even gone back to work this whole week. Thought I'd be responsible and everything. Don't want to get anyone else sick.
I see. And did you wash your hands properly after going to the bathroom?
I mean, don't tell my boss, but not really. It was so busy that day, and since the lettuce was being washed anyways, I thought it would be fine. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Okay, just one more.
Yeah.
But the door was slammed, and that was that. Brian signed, but was overall content with the information he received. However, It wasn't until he was deep in the mid-afternoon traffic that he finally understood the humor in the man's name. Question 4. Where did the pathogen originate?
Hey Bryans, the test results are conclusive. Turns out it is O15H7. And between you and me, I haven't seen an outbreak like this for a while. But if I'll be honest, things were getting pretty domestic around here. Feels like I needed something like this to spark up my week a little bit.
Hey, don't think I didn't notice that excitement in your tone. Dozens of people are sick, you know?
Oh, I got you there. But if we liked other people, do you think we would choose to work indoors all day with nothing but dangerous pathogens?
Touche. Either way, your lab techs are a sadistic bunch. But thanks. From the symptoms to the poor food handling, E. coli makes perfect sense to me. Looks like this investigation is almost over.
Well, good luck, Bryans. And hey, no problem. After all, that is what I'm here for. But next time, try not to be such a baby about the stool samples. You used up all the good soap that we have here. You do know that you could just wear gloves next time, right?
Question 5. As an EHO, how and to whom would you communicate this finding? Over the next several days, Bryans and his team at VCH informed all the cyclists about the lab findings. They were relieved and most of them were already on the road to recovery. The Gran Fondo was happy to put all this behind them and put out a press release saying that they would hire a different catering company next time. They even thanked a man by the name of Kristen Bryans in paragraph 4, and then mentioned him again in paragraph 6. But hey, who's counting? BCCDC was glad to get a conclusive result about all this. They put out some broadcasts reminding everyone not to fret, that they are going to keep everyone safe. Unfortunately, Edward Coe was let go. He didn't seem all too surprised and was actually very ashamed about the whole thing. He even offered to personally apologize to every single cyclist who got sick. What a saint. If only he was as motivated in keeping his hand as clean as his conscience. In the end, everyone made it out of the ordeal alive and healthy, which is the most important thing. But this whole thing could have been prevented with better management. Chizu Catering was given a stern lecture from Bryans which consisted of several control measures that they would have to follow in the future.